All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Southern Power. So I wanted to make a video about the new Joe Weider movie that's apparently in development right now, and the fact that Calum Von Moger is apparently playing the role of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now, I've seen a lot of videos and a lot of comments on Instagram and stuff saying this is going to be what brings bodybuilding to the mainstream media. This is some massive deal for bodybuilding, and it's going to give the sport tremendous amount of exposure. So I'll get to that in a second, but first, what do I think of Calum playing Arnold? So I think he's the perfect choice, honestly. So first and foremost, this is not a big budget movie. So when people are saying, oh, you could get so-and-so to play it, you could get so-and-so to play Arnold, and they're talking about big-name Hollywood actors, that's not an option, guys. This is not a Hollywood blockbuster movie. So I think that's the main mistake that a lot of people are making when they're talking about this being a movie, is they instantly assume the fact that this is a quote-unquote movie, and that's going to be some giant Hollywood blockbuster that everybody's going to see. It's going to make millions of dollars in the box office, et cetera, et cetera. This seems to me like it's more of a very, very small project, and really the bodybuilding niche is probably going to be the only people that are interested in watching a movie like this, because outside of the bodybuilding world, you got to be realistic. Who has even heard the name Joe Weider, and who cares about Joe Weider building up a bodybuilding industry outside of bodybuilding? Now, the mainstream general public might be interested in the story of Arnold Schwarzenegger coming to America, but only really to a certain extent. I think a lot of people are interested in, Arnold as the character, the persona, the movie star, the governor. They're not really so much interested in Arnold as the bodybuilder, the general public, that is. Now, we are. Us bodybuilding fans, we're interested in seeing this movie. We're interested in hearing Arnold's story, but I think most people will not be. And for that reason, this is not going to be a major Hollywood blockbuster. And the second reason I think this is not going to be that big of a deal in terms of Hollywood or whatever is the fact that the man producing it is a man named Dan Solomon. So Dan Solomon runs a kind of like a bodybuilding news website called digitalmuscle.com. And I believe their YouTube channel has less than 10,000 subscribers, so they're not that big of a company. So I'm guessing their budget is a very, very, very limited budget. So again, when people say, oh, why did they pick Calum when they could have picked, Hugh Jackman or that guy that played Thor or one of these other guys that Hollywood considers to be a bodybuilder, that's definitely not in the budget. That's probably not even in the cards. Calum probably is doing it for free or doing it for little to no money, to be honest with you guys. And my guess would be, honestly, this is going to be like, it might not even be in theaters. This is going to be something that might be on Netflix. It might get a deal with Hulu or something where it goes straight to some kind of digital streaming site. And that would be cool as well. I'm very excited to see this personally. But when people are saying this is going to be like the next big breakthrough for bodybuilding coming into the mainstream, I think it's going to be the exact same thing, if not a little bit worse than Generation Iron. Now, I remember when Generation Iron came out, I was super excited to see it. That's the first Generation Iron is what I'm talking about. I think it was like 2012 or 2013 that it came out. And I can remember, looking up the theaters that played it, and the closest theater that showed it was like 2 hours away. It was only in like 100 theaters, across the nation. I think it made less than $1 million in total box office sales that first weekend. So it definitely wasn't that big of a hit, and it definitely wasn't this major blockbuster event that everybody thought it was going to be. Because I can remember everybody talking about Generation Iron leading up to its release as if it was going to be, again, the next big thing for bodybuilding. So I think this Weider movie is going to be a similar situation. It's going to be mostly the bodybuilding fan base that's going to see it. And again, the bodybuilding fan base is like less than 1% of the general population. So I think that's going to severely diminish, the amount of investors that would be interested in this film, the amount of theaters that would be interested in showing this film, and really just the amount of money that's going to go into this in general. So I do think it's awesome that this movie's being made. I hope they really cover, some of the truth about Joe Weider, not really just, kissing his ass and making him seem like this mega businessman that did nothing wrong. I would like to see some stuff about his rivalry with Dan Laurie. I would like to see some stuff about the IFBB's rivalry with NABBA and how the Mr. Olympia and the Mr. Universe kind of went head-to-head there for a couple of years in the 70s. And how the Weiders came up with the policy that didn't allow athletes to compete in rival organizations. I think that would be some cool things to add to the movie. Those are some of those things where the Weiders were really playing a business game. They're trying to eliminate their competition. And I would like to see some of that covered in the movie as well. I'd like to see some stuff about Muscle and Fitness magazine in there. And I'd like to see some stuff about Betty Weider, obviously Joe's wife. I would like to see, some of her story covered because she played a very integral part in helping Joe build the empire that he was able to build. So let me know in the comment section below what you guys think about this upcoming Joe Weider movie. Do you think it's going to be a flop, or do you think it's going to be a success? Please give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Nick Strength and Power, signing out.